If you don't live in the UK, chances are you've never heard of the 3pm Blackout. But if you do, nothing, bar possibly the advent of satellite TV, has done more to shape the way you watch football. In a nutshell, the blackout prevents live football from being shown on British TV between 2:45pm and 5:15pm on Saturday afternoons, with the aim of encouraging supporters, most of whom would normally want to watch a Premier League match, to head out to local football clubs further down the pyramid, increasing their ticket sales. And with top-flight teams making the bulk of their revenue from TV rights anyway, it's meant to make sure that at least some cash makes its way to the lower reaches of English football, propping up the edifice which makes the global PL product possible. But now the blackout is under threat. Last year, reports emerged that the EFL were open to a new system as they invited improved offers for their TV rights, with EFL director Rick Parry admitting that the advent of streaming would need an open-minded outlook. And now online broadcaster DAZN have added their weight to the struggle, making a bid to take the EFL rights from Sky, who have owned them since 2002, and planning to show every single match and every goal to their 20 million subscribers across the globe, as well as almost doubling the £119 million the rights currently give to the Championship, League One and League Two. But how did the blackout come about, and what would be the results of removing it? On today's FD Explained, we find out. Given its outsized influence on clubs and fans to this day, it's strange to think that the roots of the blackout lie in Burnley. But back in the 1960s, the Clarets were one of the bigger clubs in the country, winning the division for a second time under the ownership of Bob Lord. Lord was tough, often unpleasant, and a master of squeezing profits out of the game, introducing raffles and competitions to improve revenue, as well as campaigning against a movement to scrap the maximum wage for footballers in England, which at that time was capped at £20. A fight he unsurprisingly lost. But Lord was mistaken in another major way. He thought televising games would hurt attendance at matches, and he banned TV cameras from Turf Moor, promoting the idea that clubs should prioritise turnstile traffic over broadcasting revenue. The argument rumbled on for decades, but in the 80s, Lord's stance became more commonplace, as European football became easier than ever to watch from home. And when the FA and ITV agreed a new rights deal, they put in a clause to placate their opponents, instituting a 2.5-hour blackout every Saturday afternoon. It's been in place ever since, and once you're aware of the blackout, you can see its effects everywhere. Serie A matches are often watchable from the UK, but as many start at 5pm British time, broadcasters only join them in the 15th minute, once the window closes. The Premier League, which for reasons of fairness needs the entire final round of fixtures to begin at the same time, plays match week 38 on Sundays, not Saturdays, to avoid the ban. And even the FA Cup, historically an exception to the rule, has gradually edged later, and normally now kicks off after 5:15. The only real break in the tradition came during COVID, when the pandemic ensured supporters couldn't attend games anyway. But arguably that change is what created the current movement against the blackout, with fans getting used to full access from the comfort of their own homes. And it's not like they don't have a point. The UK is the only country in the world where it is legally forbidden to watch a 3pm English Premier League match, and the other top 5 leagues do not employ a blackout system of their own. The upshot of all this, coupled with a more technically savvy worldwide audience, is a boom in illegal streaming, with Twitter and Reddit riddled with links to foreign broadcasts, taunting British clubs with the knowledge of just how much revenue they're losing each week. So, DAZN seem to have picked a great time to try and shake things up. But what exactly are they proposing? DAZN's basic pitch is this: the Premier League left the rest of English football behind when it spun off 30 years ago, but the EFL has more juice than it thinks. Put simply, streaming matches could offer the so-called smaller clubs a new source of revenue and allow them to build their international brands, meaning that teams face less financial instability and making the Prem less of a closed shop, with promoted sides boasting more income and the fan bases necessary to challenge the established elite. The coverage would be a significant upgrade on the existing iFollow service, a £10 subscription platform which allows fans to watch their team, with integrated stats, more angles and even off-pitch content, bringing the EFL in line with the expectations of supporters used to the Sky and Amazon production values. And according to The Independent, DAZN would even consider a partnership with a terrestrial network like ITV or the BBC, making games available for free to drive subscriptions. It sounds like a good idea, not only appealing for those who want to watch their games at 3pm, but also to those frustrated by the need to have multiple subscriptions to Sky, TNT Sports and Amazon Prime, and would instead function like a one-stop shop for access to football, with DAZN reportedly also ready to bid for PL rights when they become available later this year. There's also already some evidence that DAZN is right in assuming there's an international audience for the lower reaches of English football. Bolton Wanderers in League One made £500,000 in the 2021-22 campaign from online subscriptions, a huge cash influx for the club, and of that 60% came from overseas. It's not hard to imagine how a team could market itself to viewers abroad in the way that a side like St. Pauli has managed in Germany. But the EFL is not a monolith, and the issue goes beyond the Championship, League One and League Two, with non-league teams affected by the change as well. Bob Lord's point still stands. If the EFL opens the door to a TV schedule with no restrictions, the Prem will follow, and the game will change. How many are likely to attend a community club when they can watch a big Premier League match instead? Even within the EFL, opinion is divided. Leighton Orient chairman Nigel Travis has spoken in favour of liberalising broadcasting rules, citing a post-Covid viewing boom as evidence such a move could work in an interview with The Independent. Last year, fan behaviour changed and fans got used to being able to see every game. Fans expect to be able to see games, and we personally do not believe it impacts attendance. The money we got from ticket sales, which is 5% of the tickets you sold, we made 30 times that amount on streaming. But revenue may be distributed differently by DAZN, and actually see teams like Leighton Orient bring in less than they currently do from the iFollow system, while other clubs are much more reliant on ticket sales, explaining why the Football Supporters Association and some owners, like Tranmere's Mark Palios, continue to oppose a change. Whether DAZN land their whale or not, the blackout debate shows us one thing. While the teams at the top of the pyramid continue to get richer and richer, most English sides have little security and are always one poor year, or a pandemic, away from insolvency. The only answer which can reassure all sides is a new revenue sharing agreement, which would see the Premier League send some of their riches down the divisions, a move which would benefit them in the long term if it opened the door to a freer broadcast schedule and funded further improvements to coach and player development. Until then, there is unlikely to be consensus on changing a system which has lasted through the greatest period of growth any professional league setup has ever seen. Whether the wealthy sides have the vision and community outlook to break the deadlock remains up in the air. So that's our take on the 3pm Blackout's future. Let us know what you think in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this video, drop us a like and subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and you'll never miss an upload. We'll see you next time.